It is the Lakers Report right here on Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Senior. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I hope all of you are having a glorious week, and your months and your years can become a lot better by using Manscaped, the best men's grooming products out there. Here's the deal. You can get 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com and entering the promo code Lakers. Try it out. It's a deal you don't want to miss. Coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at the top remaining free agent targets for the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, they've had a really busy offseason, but still 3 roster spots to fill. So let's take a look at some of the top remaining free agents out there on the open market who remain unsigned right now. Let's start off with Paul Milsap. He's one of the most notable names that we're going to get to on this list. Last year, the least points per game that he averaged in 7 years. So he's not the player that he once was when he was an all-star and secured the bag several years ago, but was still a steady contributor for the Denver Nuggets last year on a team that was really good before and even after Jamal Murray went down with that torn ACL. Millsap's numbers a year ago with Denver, 9 points per game, 4.5 rebounds. He's still a really good elbow and baseline jump shooter. He can extend the floor and stretch the floor just a bit with his three-point shot, even though that number hovered around 34% from distance. Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report did report about Millsap and some of the teams interested in him. The Lakers not really on this list, but it's been said, according to some reports out there on the NBA universe, that Millsap is interested in the Los Angeles Lakers. Fisher saying this: Golden State has been the team most often linked by league sources to Millsap, arguably the most consequential free agent left. Yet while the 36-year-old former All-Star has drawn interest from the Warriors, Hawks, Nets, Pelicans, 76ers, and Timberwolves, no team sources contacted by Bleacher Report indicated any contract agreement with Millsap has come close to the finish line. So no teams basically are about to sign and ink Millsap officially. I know that if Millsap gets signed by the Lakers, so many Laker haters will take to Twitter, take to social media, they'll be keyboard thugs, and they'll say, this is yet another signing of a grandpa. The Lakers are way too old. You know who doesn't really care about the Lakers' age? Rob Pelinka or LeBron James. Why is that? Because even though LeBron James is turning 37 years old in December, he's still one of the best players in the NBA. Before he went down with that ankle sprain last year, I thought he could have been MVP. And they don't care about the age of this roster in 2, 3, 4 years. They care about this upcoming season because the window to win a championship with LeBron and AD is right now. So who cares about the future? Got to focus on the present. That's what the Lakers are doing, and that's why I've applauded them for what they've done in free agency. So do you want the Lakers to sign Paul Milsap? Laker Nation, sound off in the comment section right now. Type S for sign, type P for pass, get your votes in, and let your feelings be known. Right here on the Lakers Report, we're bringing you all of the latest Lakers news and rumors, free agency coverage, draft coverage, in-season coverage, off-season coverage. We cover the Lakers 365 days a year, 366 during leap day years. So subscribe to the channel if you want consistent, entertaining, and fulfilling coverage. YouTube.com/LakersTV, or simply hit that red subscribe button down below. More free agent Lakers targets to get to. JJ Redick. It is my rule when building a team in today's NBA that you can never have enough shooting. And JJ Redick is still one of the most elite sharpshooters across the NBA, even though him, like Paul Milsap and a lot of guys on this roster, are getting a little bit long in the tooth. From 2012 to 2020, before injuries really plagued JJ Redick last year, JJ Redick was putting up stupid numbers. Now, I don't think that he can walk onto an NBA floor and average 16 points per game on 45.5 shooting and knock down three-pointers at a 42% clip, but I do think that he can still average around 10, 12 points per game and knock down threes at a very efficient rate, around 42%. He's always been a very gifted and successful free throw shooter. He can hit around 90% of his free throw attempts, and as a guy who's a good leader and has leadership qualities, can really still shoot it very, very effectively, even though he doesn't play defense at all. I think he'd be a pretty solid addition on this roster. I think JJ Redick can still play. It was unfortunate that once he got out of New Orleans, which was a bad situation for him, he even complained about having to play for Stan Van Gundy. He goes to Dallas, where I thought he was a really good fit, and then that lingering heel and leg issues continued to surface, and JJ Redick wasn't able to play basically at all following the NBA trade deadline. He goes on to the Lakers. I still think he'll be able to ball out and shoot the ball very well and let it fly. Pick one between Millsap and JJ Redick. Somewhat of a tough question. They fill different areas of need. Type PM for Paul Milsap, JJ for JJ Redick. Which one would you rather have? You let me know. How about DeMarcus Cousins? Because the Lakers in the front court are very old right now. Marc Gasol, Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins younger than those guys, more injury prone than those aforementioned players, and it's really unfortunate to see what has happened to DeMarcus Cousins over the last couple of years, because last year he was a shell of himself. The last couple of years he's been a shell of himself. I still think he can contribute decent off the bench as your second or third center. Last year with Houston as well as the Clippers, 9.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds. Coming off the bench to give you that and some toughness, a little bit of swagger. He's never lacked any confidence. That's why I kind of like it. But from 2010 to 2018, we just got to marvel at what Boogie was able to do. He was on a ridiculous trajectory here. And this is almost a decade of production from a big man who was really starting to do things before big men started to extend their games out to the three-point arc. I mean, look at these numbers over that time span. Wild. 21.5 points per game, 11 rebounds per night. He was so good. Unfortunately, the torn Achilles happened, then the quad, some knee injuries after that. It's really zapped him of a lot of his athleticism. That's why he figures better to be a guy who can spot start for you, but more importantly, come off the bench as a depth piece. Do you think Boogie can still ball? Let me know, Laker Nation. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Some flashes for him in the playoffs for the Clippers last year. I just don't think he can do that night in and night out. But the good thing is he wouldn't have to do that on this current roster because it's very, very deep and loaded. At one point or another, a lot of guys on this list, they were balling out. If you want to ball out with Manscaped, do so right now by going to manscaped.com and enter the promo code Lakers. I understand that summer is winding down, but we're still spending a lot of time outside by the pool. You don't want to have a hairy bush that's coming out of your bathing suit. You don't want to have a hairy chest or back that looks like the Amazon forest. And all year round, whether you're at the pool or not, you don't want to be so hairy for your lady that she doesn't even want to go down into the nether region and mess around with what's going on down there. And you can take care of all of that with the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. So once again, manscaped.com, enter the promo code Lakers. Not only do you get 20% off on the Lawnmower 4.0, but all of the best men's grooming products and the shipping completely free. Wesley Matthews, he didn't do much with the Lakers last year. I was expecting a little bit more from him as a guy who can knock down some threes, play a little defense. A couple years ago with the Bucks, I really like what he brought to the table, but last year didn't really give you much, if anything. Little less than 5 points per game, and as a three-point shooter was somewhat disappointing. And it's not hard to see why he remains a free agent, but with the Lakers having 3 positions left on this roster, or 3 open spots to fill, Wesley Matthews, back end of the roster, not a terrible option. Grade Matthews as a Laker last year, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm not going to be harsh and say D. I'm not going to be even harsher and say F. He was completely average at like a C, maybe even a C minus. I would not sign Wesley Matthews. I would entertain the thought of bringing back Avery Bradley. I'm not sure why he opted out of the Lakers championship run in the NBA bubble. I understand COVID was going on, but he missed out on an opportunity to play consistent minutes for a team that ended up winning the NBA championship. Avery Bradley can still lock you down defensively at multiple guard positions. He's become, over time, at least a competent outside shooter. I'm not even asking Avery Bradley to shake you down off the dribble. Really, all I want him to do, bring toughness to the floor, play a lot of defense, and hit an occasional 3. And on this Lakers roster, I think he'd be able to do that. So he is another free agent target that the Lakers could look to go after to fill out this roster. I need to hit on this before I dip on out of here. Mario Chalmers taking to social media to say that he wants back in the NBA. He's been posting some clips of him playing pickup, and he looks good playing pickup against some dudes that I've never really ever seen before. But maybe a Mario Chalmers reunion with LeBron James? We'll see. He's long been a LeBron James guy. In all seriousness, no, though, Mario Chalmers hasn't played since like the 2017-2018 season. I don't think the cat has much left in the tank at all. I think he's washed. I think that's a big reason why he hasn't played for a couple of years. But some Lakers fans, they've been chiming in on social media saying, sign Mario Chalmers? I wouldn't. Would you? I don't know. If you would, you have an opportunity to right now get into the comment section and name a free agent who you want the Lakers to sign. A guy on this list, a guy not on it, maybe it's Mario Chalmers. Hop on board. Join the show right now.